Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And we are back with Dr. Maureen Hosier. Excited to have her here once again. Always a great conversation. She's a licensed clinical psychologist, helping so many people in the state of California, especially with relationships. But I'll let her explain her job. Would you mind saying hello to everyone today and telling us a little bit about what you do and specialize in?
What I do is because I've been very interested in relationships since I was a kid. And the reason I am interested in relationships that aren't working is my parents' relationship. They stayed together 52 years, but I don't know that they were happy campers.
Yeah.
It just, and it was hard to watch.
And that's the story I think a lot of us can relate to, myself included. A lot of our listeners and viewers today, we've all had childhood traumas of some sort, but in particular, I struggle as an adult with relationships because my parents didn't have a good relationship. It makes clear sense. And the fact you chose to go into this zone and this practice in this field to help so many people is super important because you've lived it and now you're helping others move on.
Right. And I've learned a lot I've been licensed since 91. So, I guess that's about 30 years. So of really starting out, not knowing what I was doing and feeling really incompetent, to understanding better what's happening and why it's happening and how we can change it. I think I maybe have said this to you before, but those, when we finally sort of began to realize that cigarette smoking was not a good, smoke was not a good thing for us humans. And they started the billboard splash about cigarettes, and it took however long because it had to compete with the Marlboro Man. And
oh gosh, it's coming back to me. Yeah, the man on the horse, all those advertisements.
Right. He lived next door to me too.
You're kidding.
Oh, I'm not kidding.
The poor guy probably never got residuals like he should have, right? Back then, you do a photo shoot. Here's $50, and then this guy becomes super famous,
right?
Like the Gerber baby,
forever.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to do something to realize that our relationships are what define us as adults. And we will treat our children like we have been treated if we're not conscious of it. We just do what is in us. And what's in us is what's happened to us as children, how we were treated. And my mother was very much a bully. And I'm grateful to her. I'm doing what I want to be doing because of her. And my father was very passive and accepting. And the connection of love, the feeling of love didn't happen in our house. The connection of love. And that's difficult for a child. Very difficult for a child, right? So I understand that somehow, I think things are changing. I think there's more of a consciousness, understanding childhood trauma. And it's not a thing that we should disapprove of. It's just the way it was. Humans can evolve.
Yeah.
And we can be better people. We can be protective of our environment. We can be protective of other people who have less than. We can be kind. Now, I don't know if all of us can do that, but it would be really nice if we could.
Yeah.
So that's what I am working toward, is having people understand what's happening for them. So today I'd like to sort of focus on being in our heads is very different than being in our reality.
Yeah.
And most of us are in our heads, thinking what we think to be true.
Yeah.
So a lot of us are making up stuff. That's a kinder word than I usually say, but we make up stuff.
Yeah.
And then react to what we're thinking. I can only think that people who are wearing guns have something in their head that they're reacting to.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize the very fact that they're wearing guns makes things more unsafe.
Yeah.
And that's just, they feel safe, but I don't know how the rest of us feel about that. So I want to talk about anxiety. That's
Mm-hmm.
another process that's in our heads, and we're anxious about something. Can you define anxiety?
And from my own perspective, it's something that I have. It runs in my family. My nephew, anxiety is, to me, it's kind of how I'm getting right now. Overwhelmed, like trying to spit the words out and I can't. But anxiety is really, to me, oh my gosh, how am I going to get it done? I'm getting nervous. I can't process it. I have too much on my plate to process, and it makes me tighten up. Or when I go into a room, there's too many people. I feel anxious. I feel nervous. I feel, I just don't feel good. That's how I describe it. I don't know the technical clinical terms, but anxious. I'm anxious to go somewhere because it makes me scared, like jittery. Yeah, how would you describe it?
Well, I'm not going to describe it yet.
Okay.
Okay, because you did a fabulous job.
Thank you. I got anxious with you asking me the question what anxiety is. Isn't
that
it
exactly.
ironic?
People Okay, great. So what is underneath
that
your anxiety?
I think it's the fact that I've always been anxious. I think my parents made me anxious as children, listening to them fight all the time and arguing.
In this moment
and now
in time.
In this moment, because
This
I've
moment
grown to become an anxious person, and everything revolves around, I feel like I never have time and I'm so anxious and I feel I'm not in a good place.
But in this moment in time, between you and me, you weren't anxious before that.
I wasn't until you brought up anxiety.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So in that moment, what I'd like you to do is not think.
Okay.
I'd like you to feel what happened for you that you felt all of a sudden anxious in that moment between you and me.
The word anxious triggered everything in my body to feel tight and my stomach and nervous, because I have a lot of anxiety in general. So when you brought it up, I felt everything I feel every day.
Okay. So you're telling me you kind of feel a generalized anxiety all the time. Okay.
And then the doctor put me on escitalopram, 20 milligrams, like Lexapro, but I don't think that's helping.
No trouble hearing.
Oh, I said, then the doctor put me on escitalopram or Lexapro, 20 milligrams a day, and that doesn't help me.
Okay, yeah.
You're a doctor, you know medicines. I'm just saying, but okay. So
I
continue.
don't, or I'm not supposed to,
But you know of it.
some stuff, some medication works and others don't. And it's a journey in itself. Medication is a journey in itself, finding, what is right for you.
Yeah.
I think there's more though under your flash of anxiety between us,
Okay.
from my words.
Okay.
And that is that you were put on the spot. See if this fits for you.
Mm-hmm.
You were put on the spot to define anxiety.
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean to you to be put on the spot?
Makes me nervous. Makes
It
me
does.
uncomfortable.
And because
it's something I face every day. It's
no.
help me out
it's
here.
not. Only in this moment. So you're thinking. Do you understand your?
Yeah, I'm thinking too much. I can't not think. Teach me.
Okay, so
Teach
so
me.
no thoughts. Relax. And the question is, and it's the same question all the time, what was going on for me that I felt anxious? And then just sit with it. Don't think.
Just being put on the spot to talk about it made me anxious.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
And
okay, I when I was put on the spot,
I felt anxious. I got the feelings of being anxious.
Because
Mhm. I was put on the spot. Because
tell me about being on the spot for you.
It makes me nervous, uncomfortable, anxious.
Because
Feel
it.
Because I'm anxious, because I have such anxiety that it triggered me. I know I'm not supposed to think about it, but I feel like it did. I'm so sorry. I'm not.
Okay, no, this is fine, because you are going to be like a whole lot of other people
that don't understand or what their thoughts, not to think and how. Thank you for your patience.
No. This is perfect.
It's good for everyone.
Because most of us don't really understand what's going on for us, that we're anxious.
True. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to guess what's going on for you that you were anxious. I wonder if you felt less than because you couldn't come up with an answer that I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or you felt anxious not knowing something. And that can make you anxious. So do you remember anything from being a child in not knowing the answers? School, parents,
everything. Parents.
You were scared then. Underneath.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
See, now you got me tearing up. Really?
Good. Okay.
So, but no, yeah.
But it's understanding then. You just, in this moment in time, connected with you your little girl,
Inner
your
child.
your inner child. You just connected
Yeah.
and you felt how you had an experience of remembering how she felt. And I think I'm going to add another couple words to what you felt. You can tell me what this is true, but you said it earlier, all the time. You saw your childhood in this moment between us. You felt this moment between us.
Yeah.
Your little girl.
Yeah.
She felt that.
Yeah. She didn't feel good all the time.
No, she did not feel good all the time. And she didn't have the help to have the confidence to not drop down into the anxiety, because that's when it started for you, was early. And what you needed then in that moment was a mom or a dad
who would
come in and say, honey, I understand, no worries, let's just, sit here this moment, I'm going to hold you. When you feel better,
Yeah.
maybe you can tell me what's going on for you that you're scared right now.
Yeah.
And that connection would have felt loving
Yeah.
and kind.
Yes.
And you'd have felt cared about and recognized and remembered and appreciated and valued, and that there isn't anything wrong with you. But that couldn't happen because my guess is your parents were anxious too.
Oh, beyond anxious. Yeah.
Beyond anxious too. Anxiety is in our head. It's a thought that comes up that we're really not aware of. And we, but can be, and feel anxious about what's out here and what's going to happen. I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
I'm going to be put in jail. I'm going to, be shot. I'm wearing a gun because I'm afraid I'm going to be shot. The problem with that then is somebody's on guard in their heads to what they believe is recognize a moment that they could take care of themselves. But that moment may or may not be true. It could be made up in their minds.
Oh, gosh.
So, and we see that happening now, I think a lot in our world, is people think what they think, and they believe what they believe to be true. And we know that a lot of people believe things that aren't true, but they believe it is true.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with what's in people's minds and heads. And the reactivity, the emotional reactivity that comes with that. So many people are not in their moment and just dealing with what happens in the moment and evaluating it, making a conscious decision about how to respond or not respond or walk away or that kind of thing. So when we have people that are wearing a gun that in my book are probably a bit paranoid,
Mm-hmm.
then they're on guard. And reactive, emotionally reactive. Our emotional reactions tell us a lot about what, number one, has happened to us, how we've seen the world, how we were as children. And if we could use our emotional reactions as information to connect our past with the present moment, we can evolve, we can grow, we can learn to not be reactive, we can learn to be thoughtful and introspective and observant.
Mm-hmm.
But our emotional reactions will destroy a relationship because we're reacting to what we think with our partner.
Yeah.
Rather than really understanding where each of us are coming from.
Yeah. Wow. She's good. Dr. Maureen Hosier, if you're just tuning in, she's here as a licensed clinical psychologist from California talking to us today. Just want to remind everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Continue. You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. So the question I'm ask myself a lot is when I have an emotional reaction to someone, instead of reacting, what I do is I ask myself, what's going on for me that I'm reacting? And then I wait for my answer because my body's going to tell me.
Yeah.
My body and my mind is my being. My being is going to tell me. My thinking is only going to be guessing because it's not connected to what I feel.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
I need the whole intuition, the understanding of me, of my present and my past, in order to have that. For me, it's an experience of a revelation. That's about what's going on for me, that I am reacting in this moment. Nobody outside of us, well, I can't say in all situations, but in most situations, makes us react. We don't have to react to anything. We don't have to emotionally react to anything. We can observe.
Yeah.
But when we are emotionally reactive, we are emotionally young and immature.
Yeah.
And we're only caring about ourselves. Whereas we humans are on this planet that we have to solve issues together in order to continue to survive on this planet.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, we're not doing a very good job of that. So I think I said in the first podcast that you and I had that I believe relationships are the bedrock of our survival on this planet.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it seems to me we're kind of a done deal as humans. What pockets of humans, but the civilization that we have experienced as humans, it won't work unless we begin to care about our home. and we care about other people. When we only care about ourselves, it's
So
it's difficult to survive. So there's the good news of the day.
so blessed to have you. Yes. Yes. There is good news. Yes.
Yes,
We could be helped. We could be
we
fixed.
can be. Yes.
Just have to
Um,
want to and work
are
at
we
it.
about there? We're there, aren't we?
Yeah, a few more minutes. Go ahead.
Well, I had an example of a couple, but it's a little complicated, so I'm gonna not do that. I'll do that next week.
Take another 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. A couple that I've been working with, and she had a terrible relationship with a very abusive father. Very abusive and mean. The man she married is a good guy. He's really a good guy, caring, but there's a place where it gets to be too much for him. He came home, the other night, he works very hard, very long, and a real estate agent, so he's working all the time. And he walks in, and his wife is at him right in that moment to make a decision about some braces for their daughter. And what I realized as I was watching and what they were saying is going on, she was extremely anxious.
Yeah.
And so I, of course, said, well, what's going on for you that you're really anxious here?
Mm-hmm.
And she really almost couldn't come from
That.
that
Mm-hmm.
because of the anxiety of what was underneath.
Yeah.
For her. And what was underneath for her was her daughter was having trouble with her teeth, did want them to be straightened too. And the wife really needed her daughter not to be anxious.
Mm-hmm.
And so needed to give her the answer was a yes. Because he comes in the door and says, oh, of course, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't do that because he has to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
He has to take a look at the finances. He has to, they're not in that position to, okay, whatever. So that increases his wife's anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
About being the good mother.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's what she was thinking.
Yeah, I get it.
She didn't want her daughter to feel like she had felt as a child with her father.
So true. Yeah. Yeah.
And she was desperate.
Mm-hmm.
So when she comes on demanding and hard and relentless.
Yeah.
But she was reacting to what was underneath.
Mm-hmm.
When she could begin to realize, and she could see because he was just blown away by this tornado of needing the answer now. Mm-hmm. And he was tired. He didn't want to think about it right now. So you can see what I said earlier, and that is emotional reactions will destroy a relationship. Mm-hmm. When they're really my emotional reactions are coming out of me. I really need to know what's going on for me, what I'm feeling, have it conscious so I don't have to react, that I can talk about it rather than react to it. I'm going to leave it there.
Perfectly said. Thank you so much. Dr. Maureen Hosier, tell us how we can reach out to you, please.
Email is maureen@yahoo.com. So it's my name, first name with 3 R's and 3 E's. My phone number is 310-210-6772. I'm happy to speak with someone and give them a little idea of what is going on, a short consultation.
Perfect.
Of, after they've told me sort of where they are.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. And thanks for enlightening all of us again, and myself, as always. I appreciate it. Have a
really
great
nice
weekend.
really nice to be with you, Jill. You're
too.
great.
So
right.
You are. I wish we lived closer. I'd come visit. Thank you. Maybe one day.
Right.
Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.